All right, welcome to this week's episode of the Vets and Real Estate Podcast. I am joined by two guests this week. I am joined by Robert Lozano, former Marine, or I guess you're never a former Marine, as well as Stephen May, who's prior Air Force. We're going to be talking about their transition as well as some of the events that are going on here in San Antonio. All right, well, welcome to this next episode. We are joined again by Robert and Stephen. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Yeah, so with two of y'all, it's going to be a little more fun. First time I've done two people at the same time, so we'll see how this one goes, right? But you know, we tell the story kind of how you guys got started in the military, what you got started in real estate after life in the military, and kind of want to understand those stories and where you guys came from, why you joined service, and why you ultimately chose to get out. So,
yeah, my name is Robert Lozano. I was in the United States Marine Corps. I was a 0311, which is an infantry. Served my time, got out with the skills that I learned in the Marine Corps. Of course, leadership's going to be the top one, right? So
sure.
I chose a path of going to retail leadership, and I spent a good amount of my life there, with the family, almost 25 years. And running retail leadership.
Okay.
But after a while, I think most people can attest that, when it comes to retail, it's a little grinding on not only yourself in terms of the hours, but the family. So, I looked around and what else can I do to make a difference, right, as a veteran? And dealing with people in retail, I built a big network of people.
Sure.
Not realizing that, hey, this will come in handy later on with no intent, just other than the fact that I know I had a big circle of influence, not only with other leadership, but with everybody else that worked, with me or around me. So I decided to get my real estate license back in 2007. At that time, of course.
Fun time in the market.
Fun time in the market. Everybody's like, oh my God, that was a tough time. I said, it was very easy for me. And I was blessed because I had that circle of influence. So right in 2008, when I got my license, I already had clients, hey, I need friends, relatives, hey, I need to sell my house, I need to buy a house. And it was a tough time for a lot of people during that time, but for me, I was blessed to have had that circle of influence to help me. And since then, primarily, most of my clients are all referral-based, and it's been a blessing in terms of, income for the family. My wife also joined me. After a while, when I got too busy, I said, I need your help, right? Because she was, stay-at-home mom with our kids, and she got her license, and together we're Lozano Real Estate team, right? So, Lozano Real Estate Group, and since then we've been doing, we've been blessed to do well.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I love my wife to death. Don't get me wrong, and she's probably going to watch, and I got to make sure I say everything right. But I don't know how well her and I would work together. That's got to be a little interesting.
Well, I enjoy it because when I was in retail, I hardly saw her.
Fair.
And I get home, the kids were asleep. But this works because we, she'll make the appointments, and we're showing or whatever we're doing, we're together, right? And generally, I'm the driver. Right, and sometimes I get in the negotiation parts of it, but ultimately together we enjoy it, because it's something we do together.
Yeah,
for us. And the best thing about it is that we want to put people in a place to be successful, right? So as a realtor, the money's there, but only when you take care of the clients. And we learned that a long time ago, where hey, you put the client, fiduciaries to the client, everything will fall in place for you. So we've been blessed that way.
Yeah. So what about you, Stephen?
Well, I was in the Air Force. I did 4 years as a crew chief on C-130s.
Cool.
Got my GI Bill and got out and went to school. When I finished up school, I wound up doing retail, very similar to Robert, for 20 plus years. Learned a lot of things during that time, customer service skills, things that you learn leadership in the military, but you don't learn the customer service end of it as well, right? It's do as you're told.
Sure.
So I built a lot of customer service skills during that time. And in 2012, I got my real estate license, tried to do real estate while I was doing retail. And so retail was my full-time gig, real estate was my part-time. And as we all know, being a professional in anything that you do part-time just doesn't go very well. So in 2017, I wound up letting my real estate license go, and then wound up getting out of retail in 2019 and was looking for something new, and got into financial side of it. So as a mortgage broker, I now help veterans find homes and finance, and learn the best benefits they have behind financing their homes with a VA loan.
Okay. So doing the sales and then actually getting the loans. So you guys are kind of covering both sides all together then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know we talk about leadership when it comes to the military, and, I got out as a, NCO as well. And even leadership, though, sometimes coming from the military into civilian side, if they screw up, you can't tell them to go do push-ups, right? You can't go NJP them. Like, that's not the way that the civilian sides work. Did you guys have that same struggle? I guess moving not directly into real estate, but into retail and leadership there.
It was a good transition for me. I think, back when when you start retail that far back, right? It was, HR wasn't as savvy, so they were a little open to, being a little tough. But as, we progressed, of course, we had to always stay professional and treat everybody the same and have that same kind of voice with everybody. But I think the best time I had was probably when I went to work for Best Buy, because the commonalities there of working with young folks who are my kids' age.
Sure.
At that time, in college or in high school. And I actually had a blast because at that time, I was going to Incarnate to get my bachelor's degree. So it's funny, I had some of my guys who worked for me in the store, literally in my classes, and we had a blast. But we kept it professional, and we shared our stories around the professors and all. But that probably was the best time I had in terms of not only enjoying working retail, but in college. But I think the leadership helped a lot, and you start to tone it down. We learn to adapt, right?
Sure.
You adapt and working with folks of any age, really, and that it falls true now. What we do in real estate.
And I had very similar. I will say that when I came out trying to lead people who never had been in any military type situation, that was hard on me for a little bit. I definitely made some mistakes in leading people and pushing harder than I should have, but I learned over that period of time. It definitely was a different environment, and it was a learning process for me in the very beginning. But again, I was young and they were younger, so we had the ability, we had other things in common that we were able to kind of get past some of those situations. And I started learning better ways to motivate and kind of keep them going. So it definitely can be tough at first, but you transition, you figure it out.
I think that's fair. And I think even within your time in the military in general, regardless of what base you're at, what your job is, because we all shift through those, you're always adapting. It's always
You grew up
changing.
in the environment as well, correct, Robert?
Yes.
And so we both grew up in military families.
Okay.
So, like it wasn't just when I went into the military, we were already trained as young people that this is, yes sir, no sir, and things like that.
Right.
Having strict parents, of course, makes a big difference in guiding me to a position where I wanted to do something more.
Yeah. No,
I get out of trouble because there was a lot of trouble around me.
Sure. No, I remember the same thing, sitting in basic training, and the same thing. I grew up military parents too, right? And it was yes or no, so it was all that kind of stuff. I remember sitting there in basic training, getting some from the drill sergeant, and they've got the female drill sergeant around the corner doing something, and all I hear is a woman's voice, and Private Curtis, can you da-da-da? Yes, ma'am. He looks at me, and I was like, he's like, I'm gonna let it slide. I know that's how you're raised. I'm like, okay. Sure enough, she says something else. I turn, yes, ma'am. Never mind. Like I already do. But absolutely, it's such a different mindset coming in there. So I can see the difference. When you guys finally went into the real estate, was there anything that came from your military side that you thought was just absolutely a paramount that you took, or some kind of skill that really just shocked you, something that you didn't expect to translate nearly as well?
I'll tell you, for me, I think it was the organization and setting a plan. And you don't go into any situation without having a plan. Real estate is one of those that you need to have a plan, because your whole day can just be bouncing and spinning if you don't have what you're going to do set up for the day and do your absolute best to stick to your timing. And I think one of those, that was probably one of the biggest things I was able to use all the way to this point now, is kind of wake up with a plan. What's today? Have a purpose.
Yeah.
What's today going to do?
Right. Having a successful, strategy, right? A platform strategy, and really, I think a lot of it's just being out there talking to folks and talking to, your circle of influence, and let everybody know that you're in real estate. You'll be surprised that people just ask you out of the blue. Even when I'm at the grocery store, wherever we're at, my wife laughs because she's like, "You're talking to everybody." Like, that's what we're supposed to do. But I'm that way. I'm that way. So
Yeah.
it's we meet people out of nowhere, and the next thing you know, they become our best friends because we found them the home they wanted, and then they refer everybody else.
Sure.
So that's just starts the whole referral business where, take care of someone, they refer the sister, the brother, the aunt, the grandma, somebody, right? We've been blessed to have that.
Yeah. So have you found that you end up working with more military being prior military, or do you kind of gravitate towards prior military in that case? Or, because I mean, we all want to serve. There's definitely a different bond between military individuals. We connect differently than our civilian counterparts. Sure. But have you found that your business really is mostly now military, or at least a large chunk of, we're in San Antonio, right? Military City, USA. There's enough of us around here.
A large part of my clientele are military,
Okay.
paramilitary. It's almost like a niche, right? Because you have to have that. My wife, she doesn't understand because I had a referral one time from another realtor saying that just this gentleman, I can't speak to him because he's just so blunt and I feel like I'm upsetting him or he's rude or whatever. I said, let me talk to him. And we talked for like an hour, and it's because we were talking the same language, and cursing here and there. We didn't mean to curse, whatever, but he was cursing. And I just kind of, oh, really? Oh, yeah, I understand. We were back and forth. Before you know it, he's like, Robert, man, I need you to help me. This is what I want to do. It is I think, and that's another thing. Like when this whole, Vet Connect came up, it started off with the VA loan, right? And I could tell you the first-hand experience that I had. When I first got in the military, I got settled, I had a family. Young family, I wanted to buy my first house. And I told the realtor at that time, and I wasn't a realtor yet, she goes, I know you got the VA loan, but I don't know if I really want to use that. And it struck me kind of strange, right? And I was like, well, why? I mean, I'm a veteran, I earned it, but again, I didn't know too much about it other than the fact that I had it. Mm-hmm. And she was trying to steer me away from it because, all the myths out there, right? The misunderstandings, how the VA loan works. And then, so I was like, well, no, I really want to use that because that's what I earned, and it turned out to where I got my first house, everything went fine. Mm-hmm. But at the point where I decided to do real estate, that stuck with me because, I don't know how many other veterans have struggled with that, right? And how to pull money out of their own pocket to put the down payment when you don't have to, if you work it right, it works for the veteran.
Right.
And I think the misconception out there, a lot of realtors think a lot of things about the VA loan. And it's the first, they usually say, oh, it's going to be strict inspections. That's not the case. They just want to make sure the veteran's being taken care of. They're not going into something that's going to really, hinder them, right? The appraisal, oh, it's going to be tough. That's not the case. I've used it 4 times already. Everything's gone so smooth. Mm-hmm. Plus, there's Tidewater and everything else you can rebuttal with. And it just in general, just the overall process around it. The most recent home I just purchased, it took me 5 days to get the appraisal because they only have 10 days to do it.
Right.
So, it's a great process, but this whole Vet Connect came about with, hey, we need to educate not only realtors, but for the realtors to also work when they work with veterans to be able to explain that benefit and to be able to utilize it in a fashion where it really helps the veteran family.
Yeah.
To go back to the original question, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's not a subconscious desire to surround yourself with other military members or prior military members. I think it's definitely subconscious. I think it just comes out in the conversation, and you just have a commonality with veterans and places that you've lived and things that you've seen, situations you've been in that aren't necessarily easy to share with just anybody and everybody, but other veterans get it and understand it. So I think you find yourself building that type of circle, but I think it's very subconscious. I don't know that you kind of just go out and go, oh, this is all I'm going to hang out with. These are my friends. You just find it's easier to kind of have conversations with that group of people. When it comes to the Vet Connect that's coming up and everything, as Robert was saying, I think this year's event's going to be fantastic. From the speaker that we have coming to the information that's out there that's going to be provided to realtors on how to better serve veterans and helping them in VA loans, as well as just different sponsors that'll be out there to help for them to be able to connect with and get information that will help them going forward. Not just information they're going to gather and have to write down and hold on to, but being able to create connections that'll be able to help them in the future as well.
Okay, so you guys both brought up Vet Connect. So tell me a little bit more about what that actually is.
So this is the 4th year for the Vet Connect. This is my 3rd year. And as chairman, I was definitely excited because it's grown. When I first joined it, it felt already big, and then it got bigger. And then this year, we have to move locations from the Sabor's Auditorium to nice brand new Sheraton Hotel behind Papados right off 410. And we were there a couple of days ago, and it's a brand new facility. It's going to be state of the art. But not only that, we have a pretty exciting speaker, right? That's one of our biggest goals when we first started the committee. Like, hey, we need to find a good speaker, right? And Robert O'Neill is somebody I was reaching out to for about almost a month through social media. So I was trying to get a hold of him, and then finally his handler called me. I say handler, but maybe his agent,
Manager, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we all need a handler.
He says, "Hey, so what is it you?
Military talk.
Yeah, he goes, what is it you do again, Robert?" I said, "You said you're." I explained. I said, "Hey, this year, I'm the chairman of the military advisory group and committee, and we really would like to have somebody with a strong presence that's known throughout the world to come speak to not only the veterans that are going to attend, but the realtors that we're trying to educate." And for the first time, we're actually inviting the public. If they want to join us, hey, let's go. We definitely would want them to see, right? To see what we're trying to do, not only for the realtors in education, but we're also trying to do for the veterans as a whole. And we have a lot of vendors that are coming in to help, and support groups, right? I mean, you got the VSOs from San Antonio, all the guys who help out, because helping a veteran is not only with a VA loan. Hey, sometimes the veterans need help with maybe with their disabilities, right? As
Outside the industry, yeah.
Outside of the industry, it's good for a realtor to know that, because if they're 100%, they don't have to pay tax on their house.
Right.
So it's a big thing for them, right? So it's a big way to be able to make it a smooth transition. There's also a lot of brain injuries. One group that came recently, those guys were tremendous. They came out there, and all they do is focus with the military who were injured, with brain injuries, and that they're so focused is to make sure that they're helping those veterans that had a traumatic brain injuries. We have Vet Strong? So if, as a realtor, right, people are moving or relocating, you call Vet Strong, they go out there and pick up stuff that, maybe couches or refrigerator, washer, dryer that somebody leaves back that they just don't want or want to take with them. And they'll grab the stuff and take it to a veteran, a homeless veteran. They help displaced veterans who are struggling, even with a young family or whatever. They help them with that. So our organization now, as a committee, we're like, it's just everybody's jumping into where, hey, we all want to be part of this tremendous Vet Connect, where where everybody's collaborating to be part of it. Of course, now we're going to have Robert O'Neill come. He's the Navy SEAL, that shot bin Laden. So everybody knows him by that. But he is a very successful Navy SEAL that has a tremendous amount of awards.
Oh yeah,
It's along the name, about 130.
Is that what he's got?
Yeah, it's a tremendous amount. If you look at it, and he has a book out there, called The Operator, and he talks about his whole career from beginning to end, and it's an amazing book. But I think overall, I'm excited that we have this event. It's going to be so huge, and we definitely want everybody to take advantage of coming in. And the realtors get the 4EC credits, right?
Okay, yeah.
That's a good thing for them. We're going to have a fantastic breakfast and a fantastic lunch. This time, we made sure this was protein. First one didn't have protein. Like, we don't eat salad. We want meat, bacon. So
You got to know your audience a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, realtors eat for one. And so this time we have a huge, big breakfast buffet as they come in. That's included in the purchase of their ticket, and of course a fantastic lunch. And then the vendors are going to be there, really supporting the cause, really supporting the veterans. And we got some fantastic builders that are going to be there that work with veterans. A lot of organizations. We have the water guy going to be there. We have a guy that pillar to post, right? These guys, like, they give discounts to veterans when they do an inspection. Stuff like that is what we want. They're helping veterans. We want them to be there to help.
And a lot of these sponsors are return sponsors. We've had them for years going in. As Robert said, this is the 4th year. This is also my 3rd year doing it along the same timeline as Robert. First year on the board. But this event has just gotten larger and larger each year. And this year, setting up for 200 people would be our largest.
250.
250 now.
That's why we had to move.
250.
But 300, if we had to push, shove, we can open these walls and make it 300 if we have to.
So challenge accepted, right?
Challenge
Try to get to 300. Fair enough. Make us move
100%.
one more time.
I definitely, I want the public to know. I mean, we want, I'm part of the Post 76 down in the street right here. I'm a member there, and I'm gonna let them know. A lot of veterans, they want to come out and check that out. They can learn more about their benefits, And anybody out there that wants to, attend, we definitely welcome them.
And right, as Robert said, it's the first year we've opened it up to outside of just the real estate industry. So obviously our committee is set for advising realtors on how they can better help veterans. But the information that's coming out in this particular event became so huge that they opened it up to veterans alike. And so there's great information. I mean, between the food and the speaker alone, it's definitely going to be a fantastic event. But then you've got all these sponsors that are able to give information about how they help veterans outside of our industry, as well as businesses that are there that help veterans inside of the industry. So a lot of great information that will be coming out of this event.
Not to include there's exciting stuff going on with the giveaways. So we gave some fantastic, Bose speakers. We gave quite a few, Apple TVs, and we give away some pretty cool door prizes and gifts. Sponsors want to give away stuff too. So anybody who attends is going to get a ticket, right? They're going to get a lanyard. If they're a veteran, they're going to get a veteran lanyard. But ultimately, and there's another thing we do called a bingo, right? And this bingo basically it makes everybody go and see each vendor. They have to find a Marine to sign it. They have to find an Air Force gentleman to sign it, or female, of course, all services. But at the end, whoever wins that gets the big prizes too. So it gets everybody to really engage who's there, who's attending, to also take advantage of the services that they're offering.
So you guys have mentioned this a committee. What is this a committee a part of?
San Antonio Board of Realtors.
Okay. So you guys have gotten involved in the Board of Realtors. What has kind of driven your rationale to want to get involved? You guys have both got businesses, right? It's got to take a little bit of time away from your business. What's been that drive to get involved with the Board of Realtors?
I can tell you my start was really, my wife was like, not against it, but she's like, hey, do you really have time to do that? And I'm like, well, you know what? I want to be able to help, because and I reminded her, hey, remember the first realtor we had didn't really want to help us with that. And then the misconceptions that we hear out there, because we're on the other end, we get those offers from veterans. And I'm always saying we have to consider that, because, hey, hold on. So it's both sides, where I think it's important that realtors understand it is one of the best loans out there. And the misconceptions, the misinformation that's out there about the VA loan, it's not true.
And the misconceptions aren't just with people in our industry. One of the reasons I got into it is when I started doing real estate, I started talking with my father, and he had a lot of misconceptions as a veteran, an older veteran, on what he could do and couldn't do with the VA loan. Primarily, purchasing the next home. What did that look like? He was under the impression he had to sell his home first and be completely done with that VA loan before he could go purchase. And there were so many misconceptions that older veterans have based off the information that was there prior. And that loan has evolved and changed. And there's so many things that are better about it now, that there's still a lot of misconceptions out there in the general public with veterans. So that's one of the things that drives me is just helping them know exactly what that loan can do for them.
Yeah, and that loan changes all the time. Just recently was the VA finally lifted the ban for having the buyer actually be able to pay commission through all that, which, a lot of folks don't realize that was a thing. Either in the industry, we're obviously pushing for that. I was in DC in those conversations, pushing to try to get that to happen. But the VA loan changes. You probably know better than I do, but it changes regularly in the handbook.
Fee changed a few years ago, so just all kinds of things. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the appraisal process, I think people fear that, right? That's one of the biggest fears, that, okay, we're going to accept this loan, right? And if I'm representing the seller, and we're going to accept this loan, and if it doesn't appraise, oh my gosh, then the seller's gonna be mad at me, right? But there is Tidewater, and if Tidewater doesn't work, the veteran can appeal, and when the veteran appeals to the VA, probably 95% of the time, 98% of the time, they'll approve it. But again, not knowing that, they say, oh, it did appraise, you got to pay the difference. That puts a veteran in a bad position, because as we know, right, veterans don't get paid much, and I think teachers alike too. But there's a lot of things out there that we really want to stress around getting this information out the way, and educate the realtors to really go out there, because we are military USA, right?
Right.
And there's no reason why, we should even hesitate doing that for the veterans.
What Robert's referring to with Tidewater is during the appraisal process, the VA loan is the only loan that you have the ability to go back after getting the appraisal and actually refute that with the VA. You can go back and actually say, this is what we feel like it's really worth. And it's the borrower, it's the veteran who needs to do this process, but his lender can walk him through it, him or her, and they can help them to move forward with a low appraisal. Where on conventional or FHA, you can't do that with any other loan but a VA loan. So, that there is a benefit in itself.
Yeah.
The VA loan also has the least amount of foreclosures. It comes out there from a bank perspective, right? From a lender perspective, the lowest amount of foreclosures because, it's a guaranteed loan, but, when you're dealing with veterans, they're going to try their best to make sure they work it.
Yeah, there's a little different pride. Yep. Going back to your careers, if you were to start all over again, coming back into real estate, what would you do different for that veteran that's looking to transition out now, walking into the environment we are now? What would you do differently?
I think I would really find a mentor out there, right? Somebody who's been in the business. I've had, in fact, after I left retail, several of the other like managers that used to work for me or under me or around me saw that I was in real estate, and of course, you post those, you're proud of them, right? They they're calling me, hey, I want to get out too. What do you think? Should I do it? I said, do it, And there's some successful guys out there right now, and gals, that are in real estate right now that at one time were in the same position I was in. And I didn't mind helping when I could. Just call me if you have a question. I'll help you best I can, And but I would go and find somebody who's going to be able to, that you can rely on to help you with that, because it is not easy. I think social media has made it a misconception that, hey, everybody wants to be a realtor and, it's easy. And that's not the case.
Yeah, half of HGTV shows how easy our
And
jobs
the
are, right?
misrepresentation about, the money. I said, no, hold on. That's not about all that. It's about taking care of people,
Yeah.
And for me, and more importantly, the veterans, right? Of course, everybody, but the veterans is a sweet spot for me. But for anybody who's looking to purchase a home, we need to make sure that as a fiduciary, we take care of them to the highest regard. Everything aside, other than making sure that they're happy, we're put them in a position to be successful. And then at that point, that's where the money, that's where things start happening, where referrals are going to come back to you no matter what. And I've been blessed to not have to throw so many, Facebook stuff out there to where I have to get those calls. No, people are calling because they're referring because they're doing a good job.
I would have to agree with Robert 100%. The times that I've been most successful in my career were times that I had a mentor, somebody to reach out to, somebody to hold me accountable, find somebody that you know and trust in the industry, and have yourself a mentor, and really look into the industry before you jump into it with the, kind of the eyes, like Robert said, as a servant. I feel like if you go into this industry wanting to serve and wanting to help, you will be more successful. If it's really about opening up timelines for you and the ability to do things on your own timeline because you're working for yourself, I haven't seen as much success in those areas. When you go in and just open up the servant's heart, this morning I had some things going on. Robert called me and said, hey, I need you. And, when you kind of get those phone calls in this industry, this is about getting the information out. This is something that seemed much more important than what I had on my schedule. So we can change it. But you do have to have the ability to pivot and serve at times. And if you have that in your heart, I think you get more benefit out of the entire job.
Yeah. No, and I said at a conference a few years ago, and it was a sports and entertainment, agent. She was in Miami. I think it was Miami, Orlando, something like that, somewhere in Florida. And of course, all she's doing, she's touring the athletes, she's touring the celebrities around to buy their 15th condo and those kind of things, and wildly successful, right? And one of the things that she had said that it sticks to me to this day, she goes that real estate agents forget where the help. And just hearing that over and over, and what you guys are talking about coming at a servant's heart, she's like, we forget where the help. We talk about all the awards we win, we talk about all the great things we do, and we become the hero in our own story, but we're just the help, and we could be easily fired. Yeah, we do a great job, but we could easily be fired, and somebody else can come in and do it. And I think what you guys are saying right there really resonates, that you come into real estate because you're serving other people. And I think that's why from the military, it's that same mindset. You know, I didn't promote or I didn't seek promotion because I wanted to move up. I promoted because my peers and those that were working around me thought that I was worthy and said I should start doing, I should serve at a different level. And I would absolutely agree with what you guys are saying, that the idea of serving and serving your clients to the best of your ability absolutely makes somebody successful or not. I can't think of an agent I've seen that has been truly successful long term. I see long term, right? We see the short ones that go out there, make a big splash, and then don't go anywhere. But those that have served, those are the ones that I see that have decades worth of success, have all served.
Absolutely.
You know, servant's heart. The servant's heart's a big part of it, and I think you mentioned that. The servant's heart, meaning like, hey, I'm here to serve and make sure that they're, you know, the client's gonna be, you know, fiduciary is taking care of them, you know, but making sure that ultimately, you know, if you do that, you're gonna get the referrals. It's just it's a win-win situation for everybody.
So you guys were talking about Vet Connect. What are the details? If I wanted to sign up, or if I wanted to you know, take that next step to go to it and learn all the great things you guys talked about, what would I end up doing there?
There's a link that is on the Sabre website. Not 100% on the details on the sign up piece. I know we have a QR code that we've posted in a lot of different places. You can see it over social media, and if you look it up on your CE classes or courses that are coming up with Sabre, you can see it coming up on November 6th. It is from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. We are over 2 p.m. Excuse me. We'll be over at the Embassy Suites over off of
5615 Landmark Parkway.
Yeah, right there at the corner of 1604 and 10.
Literally
back behind Papa Do's.
right behind Papa Do's. It's a brand new, it's Sheraton actually. I think.
Yeah.
Sheraton?
Yeah, right in there.
Sheraton, yeah. And it's a fantastic facility. So
Yeah. So sabor.com, SABOR.com. They can look at the upcoming events or the CE classes that are being offered. They'll be able to find it, or I guess on their social media. They usually have a link that says, here's all the events coming up if you look at their profile. So either way, you should be able to find it through Sabor's website or through Sabor's social media.
it goes to ticket events too. I think it's event tickets or something like that. There's a link where it takes you to that where
Okay.
anybody can just access that and buy the ticket.
And
Yeah.
If you're on any of your shift talks with Realtor Shift Talk, it should be posted all over that as well. There are different prices. There is a price in there for veterans. There's a price in there for realtors. I think we just passed our early sign up for a lower entry.
The early bird was $50. The general admission is $60. Military and veterans are $48.
So
Yeah.
again, just allowing everybody to kind of come out and get that information. And I think there's a lot of veterans out there who would love to see and hear Robert O'Neill speak on his own. I've heard him speak once before, actually. As Robert said, I have and have read his book. His story is just absolutely amazing. And just to hear kind of where he came from and just his drive to get to where he's at, it's a very positive influence. You know, it's one of those books you read, when you put it down, you're ready to go do something and get started, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
When we look for these speakers, we look for not only the motivational aspect of it, but how it relates to everybody, the audience, right, the realtors, right?
Sure.
Because there's a lot of things that we have to go through, right? You know, persevere, keep it going, stay focused, you know, things like that I think, you know, we always want to make sure that when we find somebody that we want to be our guest speaker, it makes sense for everybody. And so everybody walks away with quite a few takeaways, hopefully some gifts, a great meal, man, some prizes.
And if you're having a tough time in your real estate business right now, like Robert O'Neill's message is don't give up. Just push through. You know, it's a motivating story. So you listen to it, and you want to go out and you want to do things to change your business and to build your business and get it back to what it used to be, and or to grow it.
Sure.
Where it's at.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You know, as we have those veterans that are trying to transition, I think it's these kind of things that help them in that transition. I wish I had this kind of things to know. I probably could have a very different career if I'd had the mentorship like you guys mentioned, or at least resources that are there. So thank you guys for sharing, and thank you guys so much for sharing about Vet Connect and what's going on there and all the resources that are going to be available to not just the veterans that are there, but those that are serving veterans. It sounds like it'd be a great event for them to go to as well, so they can make sure they serve their clients best. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks
for having us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us. Thank you.